Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we continue ranking the traitor gene lines most needed by the Imperium. No need for a spoiler warning today, so let's waste no time and just jump straight in. Into the top 4, business is now picking up. As a recap, with the galaxy undergoing a period of upheaval, the imminent invasion of Imperium Nihilus, the emergence of Leviathan, not to mention everything else, I've been recontemplating Belisarius's use of Traitor gene seed within the Primaris, and how the Imperium's needs and my opinions may have changed. And so we are ranking the Traitor Legion successors most needed by the Imperium from least to most needed. The big factors at play are 1. The defense and stability of Imperium Sanctus, 2. Defeating Leviathan to the west, and 3. Guilliman's imminent crusade and reconquest across the Rift. As usual, this is just my opinion. Agree, disagree, drop your own thoughts in the comments below. And my rankings so far are: the World Eaters in 9th, the Alpha Legion in 8th, the Death Guard in 7th, the Night Lords in 6th, the Sons of Horus in 5th, and today, the Emperor's Children in 4th. Now, we've all seen that Sons of the Phoenix chapter tease, the wink wink Imperial Fist successor that just happens to be named after Fulgrim. And I have to say, I can understand why Belisarius would have chosen the Emperor's Children first, of all the traitor lines, if of course he did. We've had a conversation before on how I feel Fulgrim's a bit of an underrated Primarch, and I do think that relates to his Legion as well. With their fall so early in the heresy, and Fulgrim's then disinterest in the unfolding war after, they've missed out on a lot of the real action. However, the Sons of the Phoenician absolutely bring a lot to the table, particularly in this current era for the Imperium, for me. First, let's address the blight corruption of the Legion's gene seed. I don't feel this would be a factor at all, as Belisarius was very concrete with Guilliman that he stabilised and erased any flaws in the gene lines, except the ones the Emperor intended. So there would, or should be, no issues there. The strength of the Emperor's Children line for me is their bearing, their manner. To see them was to see the exemplars of the Astartes. If the Emperor could have had one image to display to the Imperium of the might of the legions, to symbolise everything great about it, it would have been the Emperor's Children. I mean, he did pick them as his heralds after all. I'm going to try not using the word too much here, but they were perfect. Resplendent in their polished and always untarnished armour, the golden Aquila shining brightly. And beneath their armour, recruited from Terran nobility, that regal bearing and sense of honour and pride, it extended into every fabric and fibre of the Legion. Yeah, they could come off as up themselves to some of their rougher Astartes cousins, but to the wider Imperium, to the men and women of the Imperial Navy and Army, they were an inspiration. A sight to behold, rather than dread. As such, all of this led to the Emperor's Children being able to naturally lead the Imperial army in battle. Whereas the other legions would scoff at such a duty, the Emperor's Children could effortlessly be dispersed throughout the army, marshalling the men, taking command, furthering them to greater achievements and objectives. They too became the diplomats of the Emperor, taking his word to the reuniting worlds of humanity. And again, What other legion would you want? And throughout all of this, we haven't even touched on their martial skill, for the Sons of Fulgrim were arguably one of the most tactically flexible legions of all. Yet they pushed for that strive for perfection, the legion possessing some of the most formidable and skilled bladesmen out there. Man for man, in terms of pure skill with a blade, the Emperor's Children would come out at the very top. If it wasn't for the blight devastating the legion's size and numbers in the early days of the Crusade, things could maybe have turned out very differently indeed. Instead of the Sons of Horus with the greatest record, we could be talking of the Emperor's Children. So how does this all play into the current Imperium, the defense and stability of Imperium Sanctus? Well, for me, the Emperor's Children's successors share a lot of similarities with the Ultramarines. As the Sons of Guilliman are adaptable to any situation they face, so too would be the Sons of Fulgrim. While they may not have the specialism in overwhelming firepower of the Iron Warriors, or the close combat fury of the Blood Angels, they are solid in every area. And as such, they don't really have any major flaws. As the realms of Ultramar and the other successor homeworlds have proven to be generally beacons of stability, so too would be the homeworlds of the Emperor's Children's successors. And more importantly, more so than even the Sons of Guilliman, as they were viewed as the exemplars and symbol of the Astartes at the very beginning, they would be again now. Any Astartes chapter coming to the defense of a world is a moment of rejoicement, but it's one that can often prove to be a double-edged sword. The ideal crashing down as soon as the governors meet their would-be saviours. However, with the Sons of Fulgrim, it would be an inspiration. Visually, the idyllic picture of what the people imagine the Emperor's Angels to be. That's an effect that can fire morale more than anything else. It's an impact that can transcend worlds and systems as word of the Emperor's Angels spreads. We have to remember, even now in this eternal war, the average person of the Imperium has still never seen a single Space Marine. They are still very much legend, almost myth. And with the bearing and nobility of Fulgrim's successor chapters, their diplomatic heritage, they would be invaluable at speaking and conducting themselves across the galaxy, to the pompous governors across Imperium Sanctus, the fools believing themselves safe amongst the terrors of the night. Through their actions, their presence, their conduct, if not faith in the Emperor would be restored, faith in the Imperium, the institution, would be. I really believe descendant chapters of Fulgrim scattered across Imperium Sanctus would be a huge boost to the stability of the Imperium. They're one of the very few lines out there that can conduct themselves appropriately on every level. Yes, they're a bit more up themselves and arrogant than, say, the Sons of Guilliman or Vulcan, but the Astartes are viewed as lords by the populace. And I'm not saying they would be more liked, just they were created for that purpose, to be the Emperor's symbol. And in that regard, they excel. For the war against Leviathan, the Sons of Fulgrim would conduct themselves admirably. Again, very similar to the Ultramarines for me, with just a little less rigid duty and a little more flair. They'd work in Soulblade fleets seamlessly, and while they might not dig in like Imperial fists on worlds being assaulted, they'd do the job absolutely fine. And it's Guilliman's reconquest of Imperium Nihilus, where again, they would truly excel. As the Emperor's children were the choice to lead the Imperial army in the past, so too could they do so now. For all the talk of the unnumbered sons and the Primaris, it's the Astra Militarum who make up the bulk of all of Guilliman's forces. So having Astartes chapters who excel at working with them and leading them, and not only that but inspiring them, that would be a beyond invaluable trait to have. The Sons of Fulgrim would be prized assets within each and every Indomitus fleet. And then we also have that diplomatic talent, that resplendency and symbol of the Emperor and the Imperium's greatness that they would represent. Liberating worlds dominated by chaos, reaching worlds who believe they'd been abandoned, or even enslaved to the Xeno. What more figures could you want to exemplify the Emperor's protection, to reinvigorate that trust? And even in solely combat terms, they are immensely skilled in the ways of war, again with that pursuit of perfection. Quite simply, they are going to do what needs to be done. Again, I do very much see them as very similar to modern day Ultramarine successors, with that little bit more flair and creativity. In many ways, the Emperor's children are actually the prototype that Guilliman's asking his sons to be now. With their taking control of worlds and dealing with established governors, he's asking and needing them to be more than just the warriors they've always been. He's asking them to be diplomats. In a way, he's kind of asking for Emperor's children. He may not admit it, but he's probably wishing he had Fulgrim sons around right about now. I've got to say, the more I talk about it here, the more I feel I may have done them an injustice at only being in 4th place. So why are they only 4th? Well, as I said yesterday for the Lunar Wolves or Sons of Horus, at this point it's not necessarily about what a gene line doesn't do, but what about the others do. And the 3 remaining lines still to come for me, each brings something very specific that I feel the Imperium could truly use desperately. So the Emperor's children would be invaluable, but there's just a few traitor gene lines, even more so. So, the line of Fulgrim for me lands in 4th place. But as always everyone, what do you think? Do you feel the Sons of the Phoenician could represent the symbol of the Astartes in a truly great way? That unlike so many of their cousins, they would bring back that prestige, that greatness that may have fallen away? That they, of all the gene lines, represent the symbol of the Astartes that people would expect? Would their natural talent at leading the men of the Militarum be invaluable in this time of war as I believe? And does that diplomatic talent also come at a particularly good time? A time when so many are feeling abandoned or turning their backs? As always everyone, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again tomorrow as we continue our Traitor Successor rankings.